Hello guys, Bobby Drives here. So today I'd like to present to you my new car. This is a Mercedes Benz 500 SE. It's a W126 model, and this particular one was built in 1990, making it 32 years old, almost as old as me. And can you believe it, guys? I've actually got one. You might think it's crazy. Why have I bought this? I'll explain why I bought these, but these were the epitome of all luxurious supercars. Everyone tried comparing to the S-Class because it was a first in terms of its technology, ABS, power steering, some had double glazed windows, you name it. This car, even for today's standards, has a whole ton of extras, and I just love them. I wanted to get hold of one before they're completely no longer available, because they are only a handful left. And yeah, guys, this is my new car. I'm going to go around, show you all the features from the inside and outside, go for a drive and take it from there. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Do hit the bell notification button to be notified for new videos. Smash the likes button if you did like it, it does really help me. And don't forget to follow me at Bobby Drives. So guys, I'll start with a little trip down memory lane. Now this is a W126, it debuted in 1979. This is a 1990 model, making it one of the last ones made. Also means it's got a few more extras. You had quite a few different engine variations in this. You could get a 280, a 380, a 420, a 500, which is this one, which is a 5-litre V8, and you could also get a 560, which was really the big daddy, and that was actually a 5.5-litre engine. 3 different shapes. This is the SE, which is about 5 meters long. You could also get the SEL, which is quite common in luxurious saloon cars, where you get like a longer version of this. Now the SEL was actually 14 centimeters longer, and that was all benefited in the rear seats. So if you got passengers, they had a lot of space in the rear. You also did get the SEC, which was a coupe version of this. Now the coupe is what I actually really wanted, but they are super expensive. You can't get hold of them anymore. So I wanted to get the next best thing, the 4-door version. And check this out, guys. At the moment on Auto Trader, there's only 4 SEs, including SELs, for sale in the UK. And I've got probably the 5th one. Loads of people have probably got them parked up in the garages, not selling them, and just enjoying them for what they are. And now I'll move on to why I bought this. So guys, when I was younger, my dad had loads of these SEs and SELs and SECs, probably like 5 or 6 of them. So I grew up with these cars. These are the cars which actually made me found my love for automotive cars, and that's why I wanted to get one. The nostalgia, the smell, a bit of cigarette smell, a bit of petrol smell, a bit of leather smell. It's all of that old memory feeling. Also, I wanted to get a bit of history. Like I said, there's only 4 for sale in the UK right now. They are going to be extinct soon. There won't be many around. And like I said, the SECs are too expensive to get. So I wanted to get hold of one before I can't really get one. And this is mine. I still can't believe that I actually do have it. Plus, also, the noise that this makes. When I get in this car and you start it, it's that old school 5-litre V8. It almost sounds like a bit of a muscle car. And again, it's the sound, the smell, the nostalgia, bit of history, and also a bit of an investment. I bought this at quite a good price, and I know they are going to keep going up and up. The 4 which are for sale right now on Auto Trader are ranging between £15,000 to £20,000. And I won't share how much I got this for, but I did get it for a decent price, and I'm going to hold on to it. You can see it looks quite clean. There are a few areas, like on this left front wing, there's a bit of a dent, which I'll show you. That does need a bit of attention, but the whole car is very straight. It starts on a button, goes in a straight line, brakes in a straight line, and I think I found a bit of a gem. But guys, this car means a lot to me, and it's just beautiful. Also, don't forget, this was a leading car in terms of technology and luxury in the big saloon departments. Think about it, guys. Most other car manufacturers were comparing their cars to the S-Class. If you look at the S-Class today even, which has just come out, it's packed with loads of technology, and it looks beautiful, it looks luxurious and elegant, and it all stems from this. And think about it, the occupants of this car would normally be like kings or queens, prince or princesses, dictators, mobsters, even gangsters. It was a serious car, and when you pulled up on this, you sent a powerful message, because people knew you meant business. This is, I'd say it, the dog's bollocks of all S-Classes which ever came out. Yes, today there are the newer ones, and they're packed with so much more technology. They'll even drive for you, they'll even brake for you. But it all started from this, and this is why I wanted to get it. Piece of history, a beautiful looking car. Look how sleek and low and straight it is. And also guys, there's a reason why I didn't get the SEL. My garage is a certain length. This SE, which is 14 centimeters shorter than the long wheelbase, just about fits in my garage nice and perfectly. If I got the SEL, I'd have to keep my front garage door open, which doesn't make sense. So yeah, I'm glad I got an SE. And also the SEs are actually quite sought after because they are slightly a shorter wheelbase. People prefer them more. And yes, this is mine. So I'll talk about the specs about this car. So this is the 500 SE, which means it's a 5-litre V8, and it's also an old school 5-litre V8. And why I say that is because the way the sound is incredible. It sounds like a muscle car, but secondly, it does drink a whole lot of fuel. It's not really economical whatsoever. It is a direct fuel injection system, so it does make it a little bit more better than say the 1985 models, but still, at the end of the day, it drinks a whole lot of fuel. It does have 242 brake horsepower. It'll get you 0 to 60 in about 9 seconds, but these cars are not about getting 0 to 60. It's about being on the Autobahn or the motorway and just really hitting that top speed, which is, well, it used to be 155 miles an hour. This is probably a little bit less than that. But yeah, guys, it's a super powerful car, sounds great, but most importantly, it's super comfortable. When you're in this car, you know, I feel like I'm in a modern S-Class. I don't feel like I'm in a car which is 32 years old. I've taken some friends out in this car and they can't believe the age of this car. It's super comfortable. And one thing I really like, guys, the seats in this car, they're not like the modern day car seats, which are quite sporty and quite supportive. These are actually like sofas from your living room. When I sit on that driver's seat, I feel so comfortable. I actually feel really regal, like almost royal. And yeah, absolutely comfortable car. It's got a good amount of power, really expensive on fuel. Hence why this is not my daily. Just so you know, guys, I've still got my BMW 640D. That is my daily car. This is going to be more of my weekend car or the special car or a little treat. You know, it's a car that I want to take out once in a while. I am going to keep in a garage most times and take out once a week or, you know, whenever I want to. But it is a special car and I'm going to hold on to it for a couple of years and see how it goes. Let's see if it increases in price. And another reason why I bought this particular one is because of the condition. This car is clean. I hope it looks clean on the camera. Like I said, there's a little ding here, there's a little scuff on the back left bumper and the front left bumper. But for 32 years old, that's really all it is. It's straight, it drives nicely, it looks nice. I love this blue. Some people might not like this blue, but I actually really do like this blue. It's got a nice grey leathers and of an era where the leathers are actually real leather, not the Forks leather. But yeah, condition of this car is phenomenal. It's got good tyres on there. All the alloy wheels are not curved whatsoever. All the chrome is still in a decent condition. I've seen loads where the chrome on the front bumper actually has holes in it. This doesn't have anything at all. And guys, there's only one spot where there's a little bit of rust, and that's on the front left wing here. It's literally the size of a 2p coin. I looked under this car, above it, inside, outside, not a single bit of rust anywhere whatsoever, especially in the footwells or in the boot at the bottom where typically you would get a lot of rust. This car is straight. The couple that I bought it from had this car for 20, 21 years and had it in a garage the whole time. And most importantly, this car has only had about 150, 200 miles put on it every year. If you look at the MOT, it just goes up very perfectly. And no joke, guys, in the last, I think, 12 years, this has done, I think, about 2,000 miles. And sorry, guys, another thing I forgot to mention, this being a 1990 plate, typically these cars will have about 160 to about 200,000 miles on the clock. This car has 86,000 miles on the clock. Really low mileage. I'm the third owner. It's been well kept in a garage the whole last 20 years. I'm going to continue to keep in the garage. So I think I've found a really good diamond here. So guys, let's have a quick walk around the car so I can show you the condition. You can see, look, it's really nice and straight. It's got a two-tone bodywork. You've got the blue and then a slightly lighter blue colour-coded bumpers. You've got 15-inch alloys, no 19-inch or 20-inch, 15-inch, and they're totally uncurbed. To the rear, you've got original orange indicator lights, twin exhaust on the left. There's a few bits I need to do, like you can see the paintwork here is a bit shoddy, so I need to get that sorted. So a bit of bodywork will be required, but you can see just from here how straight it is. Totally straight car, no rust on the arches, which is a really infamous place for these. The only bit of damage, you can see this chrome needs to be pushed back down, which I can get sorted. And also, it's just this front wing. There's a slight little dent right there. which yes, is a bit of an eyesore. But I tell you what, when the car's clean, you can't really notice it that much. But I'm going to get that sorted. All the chrome in the car is lovely. You see, look, there's a little scuff here, which I'm going to get sorted. But like I said, guys, you've got to appreciate this car is 32 years old. It's not 5 years old, you know. To have those few little bits on there, I think is decent. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think it's clean or does it look quite messy? Is there any bits that you think I should do to it? Like I said, I'm just going to get it to showroom condition. I'm not going to really lower it or, you know, put BBS wheels on it. My aim is to get this looking like brand new and keep in the garage and take out as and when I want to. Oh, I forgot another thing to mention. This actually has a sunroof which actually works. It tilts upwards and it goes back. And now I'd like to show you a few features that I actually like on this car, starting with the front lights. Now, the lights aren't that special, but what I really like is that you've actually got headlight washers. And guess what, guys? For 32 years old, they still work. Most cars nowadays have like high pressure nozzles which spray water onto the lights to try and clean them. But these have got actually cute little individual wipers. I just love them. This was of the era where, you know, the BMW 7 Series or like the BMW E33 Series, they had them, the Mercs had them, but you don't get cars nowadays having these. But I can't believe that they actually still work. I will put a little video on so you can see them working. And a lot of people said, how do you actually get them to work? Because a lot of people can't get them to work. Well, either they're broken, or the second thing is your lights have actually got to be on. So have your side lights on or your main lights on, then hit the button to wash your lights, your windscreen, and then these will start to work. If your lights are off and you wash your windscreen, these won't work. So just remember that. One of my other favourite things on a car is the 3-pointed star emblem, and why I love it on this car, these ones actually stand up. Nowadays, you don't really get them on Mercedes. You get them on an S-Class, but if you want it on an E-Class or C-Class, you actually have to specify it from the manufacturers. This car is from an era where they were standard. And yes, you still have the Mercedes Benz badge here, which is covered in blue. You've got two, probably, you know, if you forget what car you're driving, you can see both of them. But this was the era where you actually did have the emblem, which stood up on your bonnet. And when you're driving and you look down and you see that, it's just lovely. When I was a kid, I used to pretend that was like an aim for like a gun, you know, I don't know why, but it does remind me of it. But yeah, when you look down, you know you are driving a special car. Second to that, I love the chrome grille. Now, most of these cars are quite tattered, or this age, you know, they start to split or rust or break away. But this front grille almost looks new. It's nice and shiny, comes up really clean, really reflective, and it just shows that you are driving a car which was made to a proper high standard. Moving on to the wing mirrors, I always found these are quite funny. They're not like your automatic wing mirrors which come in nowadays automatically and stay in. These instead would rebound back. So let's say you are driving through a tight space, these will actually bend in like that, and then they fall back out. So they don't stay in, but they are actually meant to kind of be, you know what, hit somewhat, so you can push them in, drive through, and it'll fling straight back out. Quite cool. Another thing I really like, these are the original wheels for this car. And guess what, guys? You actually get the 5th wheel in the boot, so you don't get any space savers. You actually get a proper alloy with a full thick tyre in the boot. But going back to these are the original wheels for this car. They are 15-inch, not like 19 or 20-inch that you get nowadays. And also the profile of these tyres are 65, which means you get an awesome ride. You don't really feel any potholes or any bangs. It really takes them nice and well. And also, if you need to replace these tyres, they're not that expensive. They're about £100 a corner for new ones, decent brand as well. Another feature I like of this car, which I thought was really cool, are the wipers. So typically you'd get a wiper on the left and a wiper on the right to clean the windscreen, but it's here you actually get 2 in the middle. Just watch this. Can you see? There's 2 wipers. How cool is that? I mean, funny enough, they're wiping exactly the same space, the same spot on the windscreen. So I don't know why Mercedes engineers did it this way, but yeah, there's 2 wipers. I also love these rear lights. They're super retro. You can tell they're from the 80s and 90s eras. They actually go in and out, in and out. So look, I can actually put my fingers through them. Don't know why they really did that. Could make it a little bit more aerodynamic from the side, but that really does emphasize the era of this car. And another thing of this era of Mercedes, they were built to last. They were solid. When Mercedes went into the early 2000s, that's when it went a little bit downhill, started using a little bit more plastics and not the best interior or fabrics or materials, and they weren't lasting that long. The newer ones today are brilliant, but This era is probably the strongest. I mean, listen to the sound of the doors, guys. When you close them, I hope the mic picks it up. That is a solid clunking sound. It sounds like a H2 Hummer door. I'll do it again. Solid metal doors. This is no plastic, it's all metal. Like I said, from an era where these cars were built to last. And there's one really cool thing with these cars, guys, which not many cars do nowadays. You can see the tilt off the bonnet. There's a latch on either side, which I've undone already, which means I can push this. Let me push it all the way up first. It almost looks a little bit scary. Guys, now look at that. You could put the whole bonnet completely straight. Oop. That scared me there. I thought I was about to come down, but do you hear those clicks? See, again, 32 years old, and they have technology to save things like this. Imagine if my head was underneath that. Now, I tell you a lie, guys, what I should have done is that when I lifted the bonnet, I should have pushed it back far enough so it clicks in and it doesn't fall. So ignore that, how you saw it coming down. You can push it further back that it doesn't actually fall. I'll just push it back up again, and like that. Now that won't fall because I've actually locked into place. And it just means, guys, if you need to work in the engine, you need to work in these areas here, all of these tight spots, look how easy it is to access. I think that's a party trick of this car. And it does look somewhat quite scary. And now, guys, we're inside this big tank, and like I said, the first thing I'm going to talk about are the seats. These aren't normal like sports seats. These are actually like sofas. When you sit in there, they're so comfortable and also really supportive, weirdly enough. And these are actually the updated seats. Before, you'd get these leather lines which go all the way down. They didn't look that nice and they weren't that supportive. Whereas these ones, the pads underneath them are nice and supportive. I could drive this car probably more comfortably than my 640D. These are beautiful seats. And another thing, guys, this armrest is actually attached to the passenger seat. You can actually lift it, so you've got more space, and you've got a button that you can press on the side to bring it back down. The steering wheel itself, like I said, because this is one of the last ones made, I actually do get an airbag. Before, you wouldn't get an airbag. And also, those older steering wheels, I actually did prefer the look of them a little bit more. In the middle, you did get like a shiny black finish on the Mercedes emblem. This one is just a leather finish, which says SRS airbag. But yeah, at least this does come with an airbag. The speedometer is obviously not like any of the cars today. It's all analog, even with the miles. But yeah, I love the orange needles. Again, it gives me that nostalgia, that old feeling of these retro cars. And it all works. There's no issues with it whatsoever. Another thing that I like, underneath the speedometer, you have this bar of lights. You don't really have a trip computer which will tell you what faults are coming up in the car, etc. Instead, you had this bar at the bottom, and when you had an issue with the brakes or the ABS, or you had no windscreen washer, or your radiator's low on water, a light would come up behind one of these signs, and then you'd see, right, I've got an issue with X, Y, and Z. No computers in here, just really basic, but it did the job nice and effectively, and you would know straight away what's wrong with the car. What's really cool, this car actually has an outside temperature gauge, and guess what? It still works. Okay, fair enough, it's a little bit off the reading. It's saying it's 14 degrees right now, where outside it's probably about 20 degrees, but nonetheless, it still works, just -6 degrees whenever I'm looking at it. To the right, I've got my light switches for side lights and, you know, the main lights. And I've got a really old school handbrake. It's one of those systems where, well, it's not one of those handbrakes that you'll just lift up here or that you'll do with your left foot next to the brake pedal. In fact, you've got this handle that you would pull out towards you, and now the handbrake's on. And if you want to turn the handbrake off, you've got to pull it towards you again, turn it to its right, and take it back down, and that releases the handbrake. Really old school, but again, still works. And also, it's quite quirky. It's different to the typical, you know, button handbrakes or the handbrake handle here. This is a much cooler handbrake. Also, like I was saying, how this car's by far ahead in terms of technology, I've actually got electric seats. And they still work. And what's really cool, my headrest is also electric. It goes up and it comes back down. Some cars nowadays still don't even have that. Or they might have electric seats, but they won't have electric headrests. And this actually has it. And with the driver's side, you actually have memory seats. So I've got 2 seat positions where I can save the memory. So when I come in, I can just press that button and I go back to my normal seat position. Another thing is the steering wheel with the whole column is actually electric too. If you can see it, it's coming out and it's going back in. My BMW 640D just about has that today, but this had it 32 years ago. And also another thing I like are the door cards. You've got like this quilted leather, and it's all real leather. And again, it's just attention to detail they put here. They've got really nice walnut wood, which goes all the way around, and it just looks nice and luxurious. Funny thing is about the wing mirrors. So the left wing mirror, which is furthest away from me, is controlled electronically. I can control it from this little knob here. I can go up and down, left or right. But the driver's side is manual. You've got your normal standard lever that you'd get like a Nissan Micra, you could say, like old cars. And I think the reason why they do this is because obviously the passenger side is hard to reach, so that's controlled electronically. But the driver's side, if you want to get to the right point where you need it to be, with these manual ones, they're brilliant to adjust. You can get them right to the right angle. Luckily, I also mentioned this car does have a sunroof, which still works. So I can press that. I should have kept it open, get more light in it, in fact. But yeah, look, sunroof works. It also tilts up as well. But what's really cool, just underneath the button of where the sunroof is, you've got this red light which tells you you've got to put your seatbelt in. And again, it still works. Now, back in the day when this car was first produced, safety wasn't the most important thing, you know, having seatbelts on or airbag, etc. So I think Mercedes put it up here so it was out of people's eyesight, and people who knew their car knew it would be up there. Nowadays, obviously, those messages come up everywhere. Put your seatbelt on, put your seatbelt on. But in this car, it was cool. Didn't really need to have that in your face. Instead, they put it up here. Another thing I find bizarre, you've actually only got one stick which comes off the steering column. This controls my indicators left and right, if I need to flash someone, if I need to put my wipers on. It actually controls everything from one stick, effectively. And I know that's probably not the right terminology, but I'm just calling it a stick for now. But it probably was, because you'd probably be a nice lazy driver with just one hand, and you could literally control everything from one stick. And it just made life a little bit easier. And now that I've been driving this, I kind of get the hang of it. Just above that, you do have a separate stick though for your cruise control. Yes guys, this car has cruise control, and I've tested it, it works. In the center console, it's very, 1990s, it's not that special. You have your indicator light, you actually have air conditioning in this car, which also works. I think it does need top up, it's cold, but not that cold, but it still works. But what I really like are the dials for your temperature. You actually scroll them up and down, and they're all color coordinated. So obviously blue's cool, white's in the middle, and then you've got red, which is your hot temperature. And it actually reminds me of the dials that you get in a Rolls Royce, Phantoms, etc., or the Ghosts. They still have them today, these rolling dials. Nice and effective. You're not having to go through your computer to control your heating. It's just there, and it does the job. Another thing which I find fascinating, to turn on the rear light for the rear passengers, they don't have a switch in the back. You actually have the switch here at the front. And that's probably, again, because this car was more of a passenger car, i.e. the people who owned it probably didn't drive it. So they'll tell the driver, can you please put my rear light on so then I can read my book? So the driver will just turn his lights on and turn it off when it's needed. Although in the back, towards the left and the right, you do have small little pin lights. So the passengers could also have additional lighting if they needed it. Underneath it, you do have an aftermarket Sony head unit. Now this is rubbish. I really wish it had original stereo in here, because it does say Mercedes Benz, and they actually are quite expensive to get hold of. I think they're about £200 to £300. So I'm going to look at that at a later stage. But yeah, this has an aftermarket Sony stereo. Coming down the console, you do have your gear lever. Now this is a 4-speed automatic gearbox. This gear knob is not actually original. I do want to find the original one, which is like a black level one. And worst of all, this doesn't even face right. It should be straight up. It's actually turned to the right. Does the job for now, but that's something I do want to get changed eventually. But you do have 4 electric windows. You have a switch here to make sure if you've got children in the back, you can lock the windows so then they can't make the windows go up and down. You can undo that too. You've got the knob here to control your left passenger mirror. And also, weirdly enough, if you wanted to control how much sound from your stereo goes to the rear or to the right, it's not in the stereo. You actually have a normal analog roller here where you can say, right, I want all the audio to go to the front, or all the audio to go to the back, or have it in the middle. Just bizarre. Don't know what the thinking process was behind that, but that's how they did it. Also guys, you can see the wood around it is quite cracked and it's lifted up. So this is something I'm going to be taking off, giving it to a varnish shop, get it all completely redone, and I will fit it back in to make it look like new. But what I have done so far, I've replaced the light bulb under the gear lever and a light bulb in the ashtray. So at night time, it actually illuminates the P, R, N, D, the gear signs, nice and well so you can see it. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to replace the light bulbs in the speedometer because they still light up well, but I want them to be that little bit brighter. I'm not going to go for like some xenon LED white bulbs. I'm going to go for the normal yellow coloured bulbs, but just perhaps a newer, and it'll be a little bit brighter, so it lights up my speedometer a little bit better. Storage wise, if you lift up the centre armrest, you've got a bit of storage here. Now some of them do have a closing compartment. This one's actually open, but it's a perfect place to put a bottle of water because this was from the era where no one really cared about having a coffee cup or a bottle of water in a car, but I can stick that there, which is nice and easy. I've got a glove box, which is off at decent size. You can get a few bits and bobs in there. And also you've got side door cards, which are quite generous in terms of length, but the width of them are quite narrow. But nonetheless, I still have storage in here. The sun visors, if you bring them down, they still do have mirrors in them, and they do have lights on the other side. Now, unfortunately, in my SE, this one, they don't actually work, so I need to get that investigated. There is a clip which is missing, which is probably the earth connection. And when I first bought it, I could touch it with a pin and it would work. Now, I've messed about with it so much, I've actually broken the pin, so I need to get that fixed. But yeah, you actually had illuminated mirrors in this car. But what's really cool, between the both sun visors, you have a really small sun visor that you can bring down, which will cover the gap between your rear view mirror and the ceiling of the car. Again, so if there's a little bit of sun coming from that line, this little flap covers it. Brilliant. And lastly, what I do like is this swooping dashboard. Very Mercedes. In this era, whether it was the E-Class or even the Estates or the S-Class, they all had this swooping dashboard. Now, being in the back of the car, it actually gives you quite a lot of space and definitely the comfort and the headroom. Bear in mind, guys, the driver's seat, I've pushed it all the way back. But yeah, loads of space, super comfortable. These rear seats are like new. Honestly, I don't think anyone ever really sat in the back. So really comfortable seats. Now, with here, the extras, well, not the extras, but the little specs that you do get electric windows and a fly. I'll get rid of that in a second. But if you did get the SEL version, which is a long wheelbase, you benefit from all that space in the back. So think about it, guys, you'd have an extra 14 centimeters in the rear, which was brilliant. But those ones, you could get an optional extra of having electric seats in the rear and heated seats in the rear. They were really cool. But like I said, the SE for me is the short wheelbase and it's a perfect size for me. Fits in my garage very, very well. But yeah, in the back of the car, lovely. And like I said, you've actually got these dome lights here. I don't know if you can see. You can switch these on and it'll give them lights towards the passengers if they're reading a book, as well as the main light in the middle. And another thing which I really like, the center armrests. Now, if you lift this up, you'll see the seat buckles are to the left and the right of the armrest. The cool thing is, as soon as you pull the armrest down, you'll see that they pop out. So you've got easy access. They're not being blocked by this being down. As soon as you lift it, they pop back up. You bring it back down, they pop back out. I think that's brilliant how the seat belts come out. Also, I've got two storage compartments on the rear shelf. One of them is empty. The other one has a first aid sign on it. And can you believe it? From 32 years ago, this still has original first aid kit in there. And they are super rare to get hold of. And there is a bit of storage for the rear passengers. So behind the passenger and the driver's seats, you've got these little elasticated areas where you can put some magazines, some books in. So you've got a bit of storage there. But what's really cool, these cars have individual ashtrays for the right and the left, because this was the era where smoking was cool. Whilst I'm in the back of the car, I forgot to mention something about the front passenger and driver seat belts. This is one of the first cars which has a pre-tensioner seat belt. So if you're about to get into an accident and you brake really hard, these will tighten up themselves. And again, cars nowadays only just about have this. This had it 32 years ago. You brake, they will tighten you up so you're not going to go flying forward. Brilliant. The boots also offer excellent size, very accessible. You do have this big area here, so it does make it a bit difficult to get some things in, but you've got a big boot. At the moment, I've got my tool case in there, some rubbish that I need to clear out. Got a lot of the original tools down in there. A spare jerry can, which I've got about £8 worth of fuel in there, just in case with these cars, because if they do break down, and like I said, they're very thirsty, it's always good to have a pair of jumper cables with you and some petrol just in case. But yeah, that is a boot. Right, let's take it for a drive. This big old tank. Oh my God, guys. Even the accelerator is really heavy. You've got to actually push it to get it going. It's not like the new cars today where you just touch the accelerator and it moves. This one, you actually have to have quite a strong leg to get the accelerator actually moving. But yeah, as soon as you get in there, it's just, for me, it's just memories. It brings back all of the times when I was a kid, you know, from the age of like 6 all the way up to like 15. My dad would have these cars, and yeah, I just love being in the back of these. And today I'm actually driving one. But yeah, it's just a lovely car. And like I said, this is 32 years old and it's so quiet and so smooth. I mean, I know today the new S-Classes are just like you sitting on clouds, etc. But this almost was like that back then, 32 years ago. And one thing I really like is that V8 sound. This is a proper 5-litre V8, and like I said, an old school 5-litre V8. So it sounds like one of those muscle cars. Let me put my window up, so it might be a bit loud. But in reality, I don't even want to put my foot down in this car. I just want to take it nice and gently, let the car just kind of roll, really. You know, it is a luxurious saloon car. It's not about the 0 to 60. It's more so really about the top speed. You know, think about it, back in Germany, you know, you could be on an autobahn, you could reach 155 miles per hour with this car. And, you know, if you were a scary dictator or mobster, you'd probably need to get away at high speed. So this is a car which is, at best, cruising at high speeds. And there's not much I can say. This car is just lovely. For me, again, the smell. It's like a bit of cigarette smell, a bit of petrol smell, a bit of old leather smell. And don't forget, guys, this is the era where you do actually get real leather in your car, not like the fake Forks leather, whatever it's called. Bear in mind, guys, this car is quite juicy. It does drink a lot of fuel. And especially for what the prices are for petrol nowadays, I put in £50 of the super unleaded, because you do need an E5 for this. And, or was it an E10? I get confused now. But you need a super unleaded for this. And it was £2.10 a litre. And yeah, 50 quid got me what, like 23 litres? So it's done just over a quarter of a tank. Ridiculous amount of fuel I'll be spending on this car. Therefore, it's not going to be my everyday car. My BMW will still stay as my everyday car, and this will be just the weekend special car. But yeah, just a phenomenal drive. Steering wheel is not as light, admittedly, as the S-Classes you'd get today, but it's still very light. I can't believe that this actual W126 does still have the airbag. Not many of them had airbags. It was one of those later editions where I think it became more compulsory that you did need an airbag in these cars. And yeah, the ones that my dad had never had any airbags. And my dad had loads of these. He had probably about 5-6 of these SEs or SELs, but he had one particular one which was a 500 SEC in a midnight blue, the cream leather. That's what I really wanted, but they're just so hard to get hold of. So I thought, let me get the 4-door version because it's the next best thing. But the SEC was a real special car to me. Probably what got me into cars. I've always loved cars, and yeah, my dad's had all sorts of cars. He had like Lanciers or BMWs or Audis or, you know, you name them. And the thing is, this is a fat, lazy car. It goes up to 7,000 RPM, but really, it's always between 1,000 to 2,000 RPM. It doesn't even really go higher than that. It doesn't even need to. It's got so much low-end like torque and power. I'm going to bring the windows down a little bit just so you can hear that engine. By the way, these windows are rubbish. The way it deflects wind, you know, new cars nowadays doesn't make the wind blow in your face, but with this car, I swear, I put the window down and it just blows my hair everywhere. So I don't like the direction of the wind with this car when the windows are down. But yeah, guys, awesome car. It's got a lovely sound to it as well. And like I say, this is the epitome of all luxurious saloon cars back in those days, and it still is today. Just absolutely love it. I'd love to get a brand new S-Class next to this and just do a comparison between the two. Obviously, the new S-Class is just the new S-Class. But this, like I said, 32 years ago, was really ahead of its time. And I'm so glad that I've actually got one, and it's mine. So guys, that brings us to the end of my review on my new car. And like I said, I've still got my BMW 640D. This is going to be my weekend car that I'm going to just take out when I want to, but mostly it's going to be parked in a garage. And I absolutely love this car. I adore this car. This car started my interest in cars from a really young age. And like I said, my dad had loads of these, and I just always wanted to have one myself. Yes, I could have got a slightly newer Merc, maybe like early 2000s, you know, like an SL 500, which I'm still looking at, by the way. I do love the SL 500s. Probably like a 1999 or 2000 plate. They're beautiful. But I particularly wanted an SE or SEL or an SEC, the W126 basically, because these are special cars. loads of people say this is the car which started the whole luxurious saloon craze, and they're not wrong. I've been in many luxurious new cars, and yes, they are comfortable, but this is super comfortable for its era. But I absolutely love this car, guys, and I'm glad I've got it, and I'm going to be doing more videos on it. I've just done a video of me doing a mini service. I did an oil service, I changed the spark plugs, I changed the air filter, so that will come up soon. I also did another video where I'll be replacing the brake pads, the brake discs. So I'm going to just be doing short videos of me repairing this car, getting the car to where I want it to be. My aim is to get this car back to showroom condition and just park it up. I'm not going to lower it and put big BBS wheels on it, because that's not what I really want to do. I just want to keep it to showroom standards and just enjoy it. So watch out for a few more videos coming up. But I hope you did enjoy it. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Do hit the bell notification button so you'll be notified for my new videos. Smash the likes button if you did like it, and don't forget to follow me at Bobby Drives. But until next time, guys, keep safe, and I'll see you then.